What's up, folks? We're here today with another podcast of Beer Freaks, and I am super excited to have my buddy PK on the show today. World traveler, jack of all trades, currently an engineer, but has done it all. All around awesome dude. So, ladies and gentlemen, Beer Freaks featuring PK.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Hi, my name is Stu Hawk, and this is my podcast about all the weird, crazy, spooky things that scare me and my guests, and the one thing that helps us forget all about them. Ladies and gentlemen, Beer Freaks. Dun, dun, dun.
Hey everybody, so appreciate you having me on today, Stu, man. Excited to get out here and actually experience the whole podcast you got going on. So,
well, welcome to the booth. And by the way, this will be our first video podcast, assuming everything works well. So we'll see. So, hi everybody.
What's up, folks?
We'll see if this works. So, dude, thanks for coming. What do you think of the booth?
Man, the booth is more than I expected. It's pretty pimp. So you got all the great little pictures in here and everything, and I can tell you put some serious work into this thing. I was expecting more just
just a box.
Yeah, just a little box.
That's what I thought it was gonna be for a while, because I was like, fuck, dude, I don't want to play around with this too much. Like, I feel like this thing could tip over at any moment. Don't worry, it won't.
We're safe.
It's gonna be good.
We're safe.
It's actually very stable. Like, once we put in all the final nails, like along the framing, like it was shaking up until like the last board was placed, and then as soon as you put that in, it just like ties it all together, and now you can't move this thing. Like,
No, I like it. I could come out here and chill even if we weren't doing a podcast.
Well,
so.
You can always come over and we just crack some beers in here. We don't have to podcast.
Perfect.
Although probably just turn the mic on and just see what happens.
Yeah,
just let it roll.
Those impromptu moments are what it's all about.
That's absolutely, man. So we got to get to the agenda.
Yep.
Although the show rarely follows an agenda, but there are important things, mostly because I want to start drinking.
Absolutely.
So before we jump into the beer, what I want you to do is at least just give me a little taste of what is the thing that keeps you up at night, because you haven't told me yet.
Yeah.
This is one of the, actually, almost every person has told me what their fear is before they get on the podcast. I'm like, no, don't tell me. I want to be surprised and see if it freaks me out. But you haven't actually told me yet.
Yeah, so it's a surprise to you. So if I'm being honest, like, there's really nothing that keeps me up at night and that scares me in terms of like a big catastrophic event or something that's
No nuclear war.
No nuclear war.
No AI.
No AI affecting humanity. Nothing like that really literally keeps me up at night. But sometimes, if you got a lot going on at work and you're stressed out, your mind starts racing and you can't get off it, that'll keep me up at night. But in general, there's no big thing that keeps me up at night. But I will say...
Podcast over. See you guys.
That was an easy one. Now it's just time to drink beer.
That's right.
No, but I would say, there's a lot of things out there that concern me a lot and that I'm scared of. And I would say, the biggest one for me overall is probably global overpopulation. Because
I love it.
That is something that, we're witnessing in real time. It's getting... worse and worse every year, and I think it can lead into so many other things.
Yeah.
That it's sort of I don't know what the right word is, but it's sort of the rising tide that raises all ships. It's sort of the rising tide that raises all catastrophic possibilities.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and we'll get into it more. But overpopulation is probably the root of almost all the major issues that we look at today. Global warming, lack of food. There's a better word for that I can't think of right now.
Yeah. No, that's
water issues, land. I mean, shit. Everything can be traced back really to overpopulation.
And that's really why I picked it, just because I can see it, every day going around. Whether you go to a national park that used to be deserted and now it's like Disneyland, or just commuting to work and you're in constant traffic jams and. Like you said, it leads into everything. So starvation, habitat destruction, global warming, all kinds of things.
Shit. I love it. This is going to be a good one.
All right.
This is going to be a good one. All right, so now we have the flavor of what we're going to be going after. But before we get into that, let's get to the good stuff. You brought a couple of bad boys. Which one do you want to start with?
Yeah, so you told me to bring a beer I really like, and I'm typically drinking more for the effect than the actual type of beer. There's no real go-to for me. You know? So
there's no go-to.
There's no go-to.
It's like you're browsing the aisle and you're just like, what looks fucking good right now?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm kind of the same way.
It's a different thing every time.
Yeah.
So I do like IPAs in general, and so I brought along a couple of local brews for us today. So
well done. The local folks love us.
Joseph James,
I think.
Hot Box,
Yeah.
an Imperial IPA, and I also brought Tenaya Creek.
Yes.
El Charro, a Mexican lager. So it's got
and look at that. It's got the skeleton right on it. This is perfect for that for October.
Absolutely.
You
for
did
the
well,
podcast.
man. You did well. And I'm always looking for a good lager like to drink because my problem is I like to drink a lot of beer.
Yep.
Right? I like to drink a lot of beer. There's a lot of calories in beer. And a lot of the better tasting beers also have really high alcohol content.
Absolutely.
So it's like a hangover and getting fat all wrapped into one little beautiful can. But the problem is, like, I would love to just be able to find a lager where I could have a couple of those bad boys and, like, not be wasted and not have, like, drank 1,000 calories. So let's hope this is the guy.
All right.
Yeah.
So you want to start out with El Charro?
Let's do it. Kind of ease into it. We'll ease into it because I bet that hot box is that's got to be probably like a 7-8%er.
Yeah, it's for the next level, I guess, when the conversation starts getting more intense.
Love it. Cheers, man.
Buddy.
Cheers.
Appreciate you having me. What'd you think?
I dig it, man. I dig it. For a lager, this has some good flavor.
It'll do the trick. This is actually the first time I'm drinking this one. I've had the Joseph James before, but I saw this at the beer store when I was headed over here, and I just had to grab it.
Dude, it's a good looking can. And you know what? I always feel like I forget about Tenaya, even though they're local guys. But like, I feel like because I live on the south side of town, but you and I both work on the east side of town.
Yep.
And so we've got Craft House right over there. We've got who else? Shit,
and don't quiz me. I'm not good on the local breweries here yet.
But shout out to Craft House because I fucking love those guys. They're awesome. But Tenaya is like way up on the northwest side. Like they're way up there. And so I always forget about them. But they make really good beer. They do a good job.
I've had some of their other beers. This is the first time I've had El Charro.
El Charro. Yeah, no, so let's read about this beer. Do they have like a No, they don't have one of those paragraphs. So the reading will be short. It's 4.9% alcohol, which actually is not bad for a lager too, because a lot of those hover around like 4%. Mm-hmm. So it's got a little bite to it. It's got a kick-ass logo. It's like Dia de los Muertos. Actually, I think it's a little more.
I think that's more appropriate. Yep.
Yeah. And it doesn't taste like cat piss, which is like a good start for a lager. Like I feel like
absolutely. A lot of times they have that flat, bad aftertaste. But this one's a little bit better.
Dude, good choice. Good start.
Cheers. Yeah, like you said, like I just felt it fit in with the theme, the whole Dia de, whatever you call it.
Dia de los Muertos to all our Spanish-speaking friends. That's a badass holiday, though. So I have a 2-year-old. So one of the movies that I get to watch all the time, but I'm actually not mad about it, is Coco. Have you heard of Coco?
I've heard it, man. I heard it's like a good musical movie, but I hadn't seen it myself.
Yeah, it's basically about a kid on Dia de los Muertos who's trying to get in touch with his dead grandfather. Crosses over into the land of the dead or whatever. Great movie. This is not a movie review podcast though. But
I've only seen Dia de whatever on was it James Bond movie or something?
That's right. That was like the first. Wasn't that the opening scene or something like that of like the Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it would be cool to go down there and party it up in Mexico City and see what it's all about firsthand.
I hear it's a great fucking time. I hear it. I feel, but like they treat Dia de los Muertos, I believe, like, I mean, not that you can't party, like you can have fun and everything, but it is sort of like a respectful thing too. Yeah, because it's like the one day a year where you can. I think the spirits can cross over into the land of the living and interact with their families. But it's great. But I've asked multiple times, just because I don't want to be insensitive, like, is it cool if I go down to like Guadalajara or Mexico City and like participate? And they're like, yeah. It's
paint up your face and get on a costume, all that.
Yeah. I don't know about the costume, but I didn't ask that part. It could be perfectly fine. I don't know. But
I think you gotta party and have fun over Halloween. I think that's one of the best holidays out there. I
love Halloween.
All holidays are great: Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, all that. But for me, Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween's the one. Yeah. I think we're pretty close to that in this household. I love Christmas too, just because I like the jolly season. It's nice. You know, you get to enjoy many beers with family. You know, it's good stuff. But Halloween's a blast. It's so much fun. And it's sort of taken on a new spin for me again, having the 2-year-old. It's like it's a totally different world now. Like Halloween used to be like, let's go get hammered and do weird shit.
Dressed
and
up.
Spooky. And go see a bad horror film or something. I don't get to do that as much as I used to.
Now you're
now
trick or treating.
Trick or treat. But this neighborhood's great for it.
It looks like it, man.
Kids, tons of kids here. In our last neighborhood, there was like, I think 15 kids one year. It's like, this sucks.
But the neighborhood's just full of little kids walking around.
Tons of kids. That's one of the reasons we moved here when we had Jackson. It's like we just wanted a neighborhood where he could run outside. He literally runs outside at night, like after dinner, and he'll be like, go see friends. Like, he doesn't know what a friend is, but like he knows that there's going to be kids outside and he can like play around.
Play with.
But he always says, go see friends. Go see friends.
Do you give out Ethel M candy for Halloween?
It's way too expensive for me, man. It's too expensive. No, but I do give out Mars candy.
Nice.
Yeah. I make sure I'm not getting any Hershey's. None of that stuff.
Gotta support the company.
Gotta support the cause, man. Yeah. I get mad at my parents, though, because my dad still just eats a shit ton of Reese's peanut butter cups. I'm like, dude, you can't do that.
I feel you, man. My mom and dad are the same. Like, I'll go home for Christmas this year, and they'll say they're trying to buy Mars candy, but no, it's all Reese's and Hershey Kisses and stuff like that.
Come on, guys.
And I gotta support our bonus.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. And even actually, what's even worse though, I would say, is my mom. You know what C's Candies is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my mom, I mean, we grew up in Southern California. C's is huge out in Southern California. So my mom still buys C's Candies for like Easter and Christmas. And I'm like, that's literally the direct competitor for your son's business.
Yeah.
Like, that is our direct competitor. Like, you know, Mars and Hershey, you could say just like, look, we're buying like a couple bucks of candy. We're talking about a box of chocolates here. It's like 30, 50, 70 bucks. You're going to buy it from the other guys. Like, come on.
Absolutely. That hits a little closer to home, man.
That hits real close to home. Look, I'll give you guys a promo code if you need one, but just, let's do the right thing here.
Yeah. I'm the e-com guy. Buy it online.
They're killing me. You're killing me. What's up?
Come on, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. We're guys, Ethel M chocolates. Do the right thing here. Do the right thing. You know what the right thing is. All right. Well, I'm already like halfway through this beer. It's not
man.
bad.
It's going down easy.
Okay, so your fear is overpopulation, which is what's the world population at now?
So I think it's like around like 7.6 billion.
Jesus.
So I googled it real quick, and that's what it said. Don't know if it's accurate, but it's got to be ballpark, right?
Yeah.
And to give you like perspective, like how crazy that is, right? So over however many thousands of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, we didn't reach 1 billion until like 1800.
It's been that fast.
And
this
then,
exponential curve.
Yeah, and so it's getting faster and faster exponentially. So then to hit 2 billion, it took about 120 years, so like 1920. And then to hit the next billion, it took like 33 years or something. And now it's like we're currently on track, like every 12 years we're adding 1 billion people.
Oh my God.
So it's just
that's
exploding.
terrifying. That's freaky to think about, because then, so basically what we're saying is 2032 we'll have almost 9 billion.
Yeah.
2044, we'll have 10 billion.
As long as it holds steady.
And that's if it holds steady.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee that that's going to... Although there are a couple of countries that are... I think their population is actually declining. Like Japan, I think, has started to level off. I think the United States is actually getting close, too.
No, I think you're right. I think we have finally started to decline a little bit.
Yeah.
But China and India, I think, are still growing. And
Well, doesn't China still have the 2-child law or whatever it is? Like, you can only have 2 kids per family?
You know, I'm not certain on this, but I think they did away with that rule.
Did they do away with it?
Yeah, so like I know for the longest time they had the 1-child rule, right? And you could only have 1 child, and it really backfired because for whatever reason, a lot of them always ended up with having a male child because they wanted a male. So whether they got an abortion or gave the child away, what have you. So it really threw the whole social economy out of whack because it was...
That's right. Because I was actually having this conversation with Oren yesterday. We were talking about, because I guess it was on John Oliver, and John Oliver did like a big piece on China's child policy that was enacted in like the 80s or 90s or whatever it was, and it's led to a disparity. There's 47 million more men in China than women at this point.
That's amazing.
Which
That's
is
more than
crazy.
most countries, 47 million.
I mean, if you think about it in the grand scheme of their total population, which is probably like, what, 1 billion or something like that?
Yeah, I think they're over, they're definitely over 1 billion.
But
Billion
that's
two.
still a pretty significant difference.
Yeah.
That's like 47 million people more. Like in America, I think it's like 51% women, 49% men.
Good for us.
Right. That works out well. Although you live in a city, by the way. I learned this when I first moved here. It didn't matter for me because I moved here as a married man. But Las Vegas is one of the few major American cities where there's more men than women.
What's the breakout?
It's actually pretty significant, I think. I think it's like 55-45.
Dang.
Yeah, your host, man.
Yeah,
your host.
I haven't experienced it yet, but yeah, I'll look around.
Take a look. It might be changing. I don't know, but like I remember there's the survey said like every major American city there's more women than men, especially in like metropolitan cities like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles. It's a pretty big difference between like females and males, but in Las Vegas it's the opposite.
Yeah, I feel like if I go to like a little dive casino bar at night, like it is all males, but other than that, I don't really feel it. And I just always thought, well, hey, that's just because I'm going to a little dive bar,
right?
Late at
which
night.
You would expect to see mostly probably men.
Yeah,
you don't see a whole lot of like heavy late night drinking alone females.
No.
You do sometimes.
It's
sometimes
Vegas. It's Vegas. So.
You do. You just see this old grandma in the corner just pounding rosé, just like, give me the bottle. Give me the whole bottle.
Popping quarters into the slot machine.
Oh, God. Actually, that you do see probably more of. I think there's probably more females who just sit at slot machines. Like older ladies just running that slot machine. Although it's not even the arm motion anymore. Now it's just
hitting the button. Yeah.
I don't get it.
I like that enjoyment, that fulfillment of pulling the lever down. So I was never a big slots guy, but I never play now.
Do you gamble at all?
I do. I like to gamble. So craps is my game. So love throwing some dice. You get all the energy. You get all the people there.
You get the eyeballs.
Cheering.
People are excited.
Yeah, and you can cheer for each other. You can talk trash, what have you. So craps is my game, but I like roulette and blackjack and even Pai Gow. Pai Gow is a new one for me. It's
Pai Gow. I've heard Pai Gow has good odds.
It has really good odds. So the reason I play Pai Gow is because you're not going to lose a lot, you're not going to win a lot, but you're going to get the free drinks, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to know what you're doing. You can play with all your cards face up and talk to your neighbors, talk to the dealer, like, hey, what should I do?
Right.
And so it's like very low stress, very low risk. It's just chilling out, having a good time, and getting free drinks from the casino.
Interesting. I don't gamble at all. No, I shouldn't say that. I do gamble. I play like sports betting.
Nice.
But just like every now and then for fun, if I just want to make something interesting.
Yep.
But like every time I've ever gambled, I'll play like roulette or because I can't stand slots. I don't understand the draw. Like you're just sitting there pressing a button over and over and over again.
Yeah. Throwing your money away, I feel like.
It's like guaranteed. Like it's just like it feels like with table games you at least have a shot to like change the odds, you know. But with slot machines, you're just like. But every time I play, no matter what, even when I'm playing the table games, I just lose. I lose immediately. I lose so fast. It's like this wasn't fun at all.
Man, you got to come out with me sometime.
Maybe use a good luck charm.
Yeah.
I think the camera turned off.
Just give it a check. It's the first video podcast. There's got to be one or two things that need correction.
All right, back on. I think I read this that it turns off after a half hour automatically. It's surprising that we've already gone. Almost a half hour. So anyway, back to overpopulation, which is definitely like a real scary thing. Because the other thing too is that we're running out of water.
I think that's one of the most sensitive things in the near term.
Yeah.
Is running out of water.
We're running out of water. Like even we're seeing it here in America. Like you always sort of say like, oh, it's probably like in a different continent, a different country that's struggling with all this stuff. It's like no, this is the Southwest right now. Like it starts with the Rocky Mountains, right? We get it from Colorado, which then comes all the way down. Has to feed a lot of agriculture. Mm-hmm. Has to get a lot of shit done. We got to do a lot with this water between Colorado and California. And basically what I heard is like there was a water rights contract built between all the states that had the Colorado River running through it. And it expired. And now basically Colorado's like, well, fuck you guys.
They're just damming up all the water?
They're not damming it up, but they're taking as much as they want. Like they're just they're letting their farmers take as much as they want. And then by the time it gets to Arizona and Nevada,
there's nothing left.
There's almost nothing left. And then by the time it gets to California, there's nothing.
It's just a trickle.
Yeah, it's a trickle.
Yeah, that's really scary for us here in Vegas because there's obviously not a lot of natural water.
Well, you've seen the Hoover Dam, right? I mean, shit, that thing.
Yeah, see the water line now to where it was. It's significant.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see.
No, I think last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, but I think it was last year, there was like that whole big deal where Cape Town was like the first major city out of water in the world.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
It was like a whole huge deal where they were, having to go fill up little water bottles and beg for water. But I can't imagine, imagine here in Vegas, if we just ran out of water. And,
what would we do?
I have no idea.
You'd be in a crisis.
We'd be standing in lines for hours to get like 2 gallons.
Yeah.
And
probably charge like $20 for like a 2 liter of water.
Yeah. The people would price gouge like crazy,
But it's a reality. It's something that unless we can figure out desalination.
Yeah, and I think we can figure out desalination. It's getting better and better, right?
Yeah.
So like they're figuring out new ways, whether using pressure or electricity to desalinate water.
Yeah.
But then there's also the cause and effect, right? So like then what does that do to the world's oceans?
To the oceans.
Right?
I mean, what if the oceans drop by 50 feet? I don't know if that would happen.
Yeah.
Like if every single person used ocean water for their drinking, how far would it drop? Would it be like inches? Would it be feet?
I honestly have no idea. If you told me to just guess off the cuff, I would guess it would be like less than 10 feet.
Yeah.
But definitely measured in feet instead of inches.
You think so?
I do. But then there's the whole thing of this other issue that global overpopulation is causing, which is, global warming. And so that's causing glaciers to melt, so that's causing sea levels to rise. So maybe it could
it just counteracts.
even out. Yeah.
What about overpopulation freaks you out the most?
Just how it seems to be out of control and unchecked. And I'm not really for the whole China one-child policy. I think, we've shown that that's failed.
Yeah.
And to go back to that point, when I was traveling through China, I did see families with like 3 or 4 kids. So, it is no longer a thing. Or if it is a thing, it's easy to get a permit or license to get additional children now.
Can you imagine
beyond the 2?
Like, I want to have another kid. Well, you got to apply for a license. Stop doing it. You can't have sex until you get this permit figured out. Like, that's just, I feel like in America, where we are just this gigantic experiment in self-government and freedom. Like, I'm not saying we're the freest country in the world, but we have certain freedoms that I think are probably stand on their own a little bit more than a lot of other countries and probably most other countries.
Completely agree.
I think if the government ever tried to say like, hey, you can only have 2 kids, like I feel like folks in the South and folks in like the Midwest would just be like, what the fuck?
No, there would be some protests and revolts. Yeah, absolutely.
There'd be an uprising, and it would just be on principle. Like it would just be on principle. Like they'd be like, there would be families out there who have planned to stop having kids. They're like, we're done. And then this proclamation would come out, and they'd be like, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Yeah,
I'm pissed.
Yeah, I agree. I know all my folks back in the South. They'd be like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna." Are we allowed to cuss on this podcast?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Good deal.
The more the merrier.
Yeah. So they'd be like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna have like 5 kids now." So. I know my sister back in Tennessee, she just had her 4th, so she's contributing to the global overpopulation.
That's all right. I think Amanda and I are done, so we're counterbalancing ourselves here.
There you go.
Yeah.
It all evens out.
That's right. And then actually on the other side too, this is the other crazy thing, which is like there are countries out there where the population is like flat or declining, and they're encouraging people to go have more kids because there is an economics other side to it, which is like as the population ages, you need a certain amount of people to be able to take care of those folks.
Yeah. If you have any kind of like social economy where you're relying on something like Social Security or some kind of benefits that are coming from the population, the working population,
right,
then it needs to get slightly bigger over time. I mean, it's sort of like the value of a currency, right? Like it's better if it goes up, if it slightly inflates over time. If you have rapid inflation or deflation, it's a problem. But if you can just incrementally
maintain that nice 3%, that sweet spot right there,
it works out for us in the business world.
Yeah, it does. But it is interesting though, because like I think those people, those countries that are saying like go out and have more kids because we need to take care of our aging populations, I do think that that's a little bit short-sighted, and I don't want to be like someone who bases all of their like solutions off of technology and the advancements that we can expect from technology. But I think we should also expect that. Like we won't need the manpower to do all the things that we're doing eventually within the next 5-10 years, maybe 20, whatever. Because at some point, technology should be able to handle a lot of this shit for us. People are talking about losing jobs. Well, that's part of it, right? Yeah. So like
that comes along with any kind of industrial revolution, right?
Right.
And I agree with you. I think this is not maybe this is why it doesn't keep me up at night. But I do think there's maybe not a silver lining is not the right term, but there is a positive side, right? So the more population you have, the more chances you have to solve problems, to create new technology, to have the next, Einstein or Newton come along that is just going to change everything, and lead to a better future.
Right. As long as that population has the resources they need to, be able to think beyond just day-to-day survival. Because that's the fear. Is like we're basically like running along this line. Like if we ever get to the point where we don't have enough resources to take care of the people, then they're not going to be able to think about like, how can I improve this technology? They're going to be thinking like, how am I going to feed my fucking family tonight?
Yeah.
And if we ever cross that threshold, then innovation would probably plummet.
Yeah, that's I can't argue with that at all. I mean, I think what we need to solve this whole fear of mine is definitely technology and innovation, because otherwise we're just in a world of hurt.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, and I do realize that, my big fear is like one that's been echoed throughout the ages, and it's always been proven to be wrong. Like I don't remember who the guy is. Like it's one of those founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, one of those guys was saying basically, the max population the U.S. could support, is like 1 million people or 10 million people, something like that. And then after that, there's going to be no more farmland, and we won't be able to support it. And then now look at us, we're what? We're definitely over 300 million, if not 350.
Yeah. I think we're right around 350 now. But I mean, but that's the problem is when you make those kinds of predictions, it's based on current technology.
Yeah,
like that's so that's why you always got to be hesitant to say like a finite number. You almost have to just clarify everything with based on current capabilities, based on current technologies, this country can only support 10 million people. But obviously technology advances every year. So let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
With overpopulation, do you think the solution is domestic, or do you think the solution is starting to fucking send people to Mars?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think for me, the solution has got to be domestic first. So like, I love space. I would love to see the U.S. and the world in general make more investments into moving out into space and finding ways to colonize other planets. But we have a long ways to go, I feel like, in terms of making those planets self-sustainable, where they can support people without bringing resources from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like terraforming.
Like terraforming, yeah.
Love that word.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
It is a fantastic word.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
It does. But yeah, I think they said something like it would probably take about 200 years to terraform Mars.
Yeah, and so if we're moving out to other planets, then that means Earth has still got to support those for 200 years or whatever the time span is.
Yeah.
And going to another, solar system is just out of the question with current technology. Like, I don't know how many tens of thousands of years it would take to reach, these other star systems, but
isn't it crazy?
It is crazy.
Like, it's just not even close.
No.
Like, when you grow up and you're listening to like ideas about the universe, and one day we'll be able to travel across the universe into different solar systems, and it's like once you actually learn about some of the physics, and I'm not a physicist by any stretch of the imagination, but like when you learn about this shit, it's like we have absolutely no way to really even leave the fucking solar system. Within in a lifetime you could do it, but like if you're talking about traveling day to day, Star Wars type shit, like that's I don't want to say that'll never happen, but that's probably never going to happen.
Yeah, and it's so far away from what we are now that it seems unattainable.
Yeah. It's just there's no way. Even if you were able to travel at the speed of light.
Yeah.
Or within 99.9% of it.
If you're able to travel at the speed of light, which is like the theoretical maximum, right? If you're not warping space, then that's still going to take, 4 years to reach the nearest star?
Yeah.
And then does the nearest star even have anything worth a damn to help out humanity?
So. Yeah. So it is interesting. All right, so you think we need to
I think we got to
figure out
solve
a domestic solution.
Domestic solution first, just because we don't have terraforming down, right? Like, I do think there's opportunities with the Mars or more so with like a Venus, if you're able to get that atmosphere under control.
Venus apparently had an atmosphere very like Earth at one point.
I can believe it. Like it's the problem with Venus is it's just gotten out of control with global warming, right?
Yeah.
And it's got
out
like
of control.
It's so acidic now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we can't send a space probe there that'll last more than like a day or so.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that. Oh, shit.
At least the last time we sent one. So like, can we send one now that can maybe last like a month or something? Maybe, but.
It's a hot planet.
It's a hot planet.
It is a hot damn. But isn't like on the dark side of it, isn't it like super cold? Like crazy cold?
That's, I have no idea.
I think that's what I read.
That's a good question.
I think I read that it was like really cold on the dark side of Venus, but I think it also rotates faster than Earth, so I think their day is shorter. I could be wrong. It could be way longer too.
Yeah, no, I think
it's in that book. It's in the Neil deGrasse
Tyson book. I back it.
He talks about it there, but I've read that like a month ago, so it's most of the information is now gone.
Yeah. If you're not using it every day, then you lose it, right? So
yeah, it's hard to weave Neil deGrasse Tyson into e-commerce. It's just it doesn't work
with
selling
chocolates online.
Yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I need you to do like explain the physics of chocolate, and then maybe I can bring you into my work a little bit more. It'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Big coup to get Neil on your podcast.
Oh shit, that's my goal, man.
Yeah,
him or Joe Rogan. Get one of those guys on there.
Yeah,
I love both of their podcasts, by the way. I don't know if you listen to them, but
I have listened to both of them, but I'm not a habitual listener.
Yeah. Those are probably the two that I listen to the most.
Yeah, I need to get. That's one of those things I need to get better at is listening to podcasts. I just it seems like there's never enough hours in the day to do whatever, and I got a short commute to work, like 10 minutes, and. Not a lot of time to listen to podcasts.
10 minutes isn't enough to Like, because Joe Rogan's podcasts generally go for like 2 to 3 hours. Like, they're fucking long. So like I have a 30-minute commute to work. So I got a ways to go. So it helps fill the time.
Yep.
Meals are generally about a half hour. So it's perfect. It's about like right around the, but there's so much good information out there. There's so many good podcasts to listen to. I've got them all on my playlist, but I never get to them because I'm pretty much just listening to Rogan or Tyson.
Well, you have good taste. I'll give you that.
Well, yeah, I do. I guess I do. But also Joe Rogan, I think, is the biggest podcast in the world. So it's like, I think me and like 50 million other people have good taste.
50 million people and growing, right?
He got mentioned on Saturday Night Live in the opening show of the season. So like, I think he's made it to like the upper echelons. Like, people's podcasts just don't get mentioned on like big time shows. So,
and I guess, that's part of the benefit, right, of having this global overpopulation, is it opens up new avenues for new businesses like Joe Rogan. Like, hey, this guy can actually make money by people listening to his podcasts. If you got, a small 50 million would have been huge historically, but now it's not that big in terms of percent of the population.
Fraction. It's a niche. 50 an audience of 50 million people, you're like a niche.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, I think people drive not all of the potential catastrophic events that could hit us, but I think they drive most of them.
Yeah.
And so I think we touched on the water. We've mentioned the food. Like, people could start starving, right, if we haven't figured out the technology to feed people.
Absolutely.
Another one we haven't touched on yet is like the whole disease thing, right? So like the transferring of diseases and some kind of pandemic or epidemic, because
that's a great
it's hard
one.
to get away from people. Like, it's hard to quarantine yourself. Like, if something takes off, that could be catastrophic. Keep going back to that word. But yeah.
Catastrophic is the right word, though. It's a good word to describe this, because it's just, as the population grows, people are just there's more density of people. Yeah. So the communicability of disease is just heightened even more. So like, whereas, villages used to be spread out,
Yep.
Villages may not interact more than once a week, once a month, whatever. And now we're to a point where it's like, it's a global world. Like, you have people traveling every single day from city to city, even in places that, were more village like decades ago.
Absolutely.
There's more traveling. Like, people are just so like, I think that's the problem with Ebola in Africa too.
That's what you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. It's just they're moving around more. Yeah. You've got even what are the people? Like, Marie was just on the podcast. What's the fucking thing called? She's in
another logger for you.
Why don't we crack the new bad boy while I try to think of it. And we can do a little quick review of this guy here.
Absolutely.
Ooh. Joseph James, you make good beer, and I know this. All right, so I guessed right. 8.2% alcohol by volume. This
one does have the paragraph.
This day's about to slip away, man. This day's just gonna get going.
Hey, it's a Saturday. We're good.
It is a Saturday, and my Trojans are about to play Notre Dame and probably get annihilated by them.
You probably want to get a little numb before that. I think you're gonna lose on that game.
I was looking for a little support here, man. Like, no, you guys got this. I say it like I'm on the fucking team. Like I'm.
But I wish I could give you support, but I also gotta.
Everyone knows we're gonna get crushed.
Truth, yeah.
We're gonna get crushed. Although we did beat number 10 Utah a couple of weeks ago, but I think that was just a fucking fluke. Plus, I think the Pac-12 sucks. Cheers, man.
So yeah, my alma mater, Vandy's playing UNLV today.
Are they here?
No, I wish. I would. If
you would have gone to the game.
I would have gone to the game. I wouldn't have been here. But if I'm going to hear a lot of trash talking come Monday if we don't pull that one out. So
Ty's gonna just throw it at you.
Yeah, he's gonna rip a new one in me.
Yeah. Ty loves his Rebels, but they suck.
They do in football, so I feel kind of comfortable. But it's also Vanderbilt. They're very good at choking. So anything can happen.
I know that well. I'm a Chargers fan in the NFL, so I know that life.
Absolutely.
Who's your team in the NFL?
NFL, I gotta go with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans.
Yeah.
Titans started strong this year, right? They blew someone out. Was it the Dolphins or something?
No, it was Your buddy Tyus Browns, or our buddies Tyus Browns.
They blew out the Browns?
Yeah.
Right. But then they had a couple of tough games.
Yeah, then they sort of fell off a cliff and lost a few games. They've rebounded. They've won one, so maybe they're 2-3 right now.
2-3. Same as the Chargers.
But they're still in the running.
The Chargers just lost to the 0-4 Broncos. So I'm not holding out great hopes for this year.
It's that whole divisional rivalry thing, right? So like
there's a bit of that. There's a bit like you just never know. It's the same in college. It's the same in the pros. Like you could, but you never fucking see the Patriots lose to the Dolphins. Like,
that's true. That's true.
But it is the Patriots.
And it is
fuck
the
those
Dolphins.
guys. God damn it! I'm so ready for Tom Brady to retire. Just get the fuck out of here,
man.
You've won enough.
Get
out.
I'm tired of him, but I'm also impressed with him at the same time.
Look,
he's dude's in his 40s and he's still
he's crushing it.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at him. Like the guy has annihilated records, and he is clearly on the top of his game as a 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like I'll give him all the credit in the world. But it's time to fucking open the door for someone else, man. Let's let some other guys have a shot here.
Yeah, like, go sail off into retirement with Giselle.
Who I think still makes more money than him. So like this fucking family is just way too damn rich. Like this is the world's best family right here. It's either them or Jay-Z and Beyonce. But
that's a tough call. That may be a podcast in and of itself.
We could talk about that. Sorry, my camera turned off again. I think it's another. Oh, you know what?
We gone through another 30 minutes already?
I think we have, but I also think it's about to die. So, all right. Well, now I know.
Hey, it's a trial run.
It's a trial run. So we'll have a video of like the first half of the podcast.
And it may be good that you don't see the second half.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. All right, well then in that case, I'm going to turn off these lights because these are insane.
This is pretty nice though. What is that, LED?
Yeah, these are actually... these are lights that my wife bought me for my last birthday because I was doing stop motion. I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't.
But I was... So like... you ever watch like Nightmare Before Christmas or like with Jack Skellington? Yeah. So that's stop motion. So basically what it is it's like animating but using a lot of photos.
Okay.
So for every 1 second of film, it's about 30 photos. And what you do is you have like a little character like this guy, like Zelda right there, or Link I should say. And what you do is take a picture where he's at, you move him like a millimeter, take another picture, move him, take another picture, and eventually through thousands of photos you create this cool animation.
Modern day claymation.
Basically, yes. And I was really into that for a while. It was actually kind of fun. But one of the things that I realized, I did it for about a year, and I made like the best one that I made was with Legos.
Nice.
And it was like 3 minutes long, and I did a Lego stop motion to one of my favorite songs of all time, Starlight by Muse. And
I'm sure I would recognize it, but I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'll show you after this, but it was fun, but it takes a lot of time. So like I made that 3 minute stop motion. It took me probably about 15 hours to do between photography and then editing the video afterwards.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't that good. So it's like, I'm just sitting there like,
you're being modest.
No, it wasn't. It was fun. It was cool, but it was also like, it's a lot of time for a pretty small result, and it's a lot of effort. And it actually costs a pretty decent amount of money because you got to get like a good camera, you got to get lighting, you got to get the materials to do whatever you're going to do. And then what you realize is like, I'm never going to be a professional at this, and I like it, but I don't love it. So that's it.
Yep, I'm
throwing
done.
in the towel. I did like 10 videos. They were all fun. They all turned out all right, but I'm good. Because now look, we can create an hour and a half's worth of content in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I like your little podcast setup here, man. That looks so high tech there on the computer.
Oh no, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's still sort of fly by night. Like I'd like to say that I'm going to continue doing this. I'm not going to stop motion this thing, you know. Because here's the difference. This is something that I'm going to do anyway, right? Like I enjoy drinking beer and hanging out with friends and talking shit.
Yeah.
right? And I like talking about things that freak me out because I also write short stories, like horror, whatever. And so, like, first of all, this is the shit that I would do anyway. Now we're just recording it. So it's not like it's like, well, I got to go do this. It's like, no, I'm going to just hang out with PK. We're going to have some beers, and we're also just going to happen to be recording it anyway.
Perfect. No, I think it's a great little deal. So honored to be on it early on in the process.
Absolutely, man. You're the sixth episode.
Beauty.
Assuming that everything turns out well here. Like, I always keep an eye on the audio because when Blaine and I recorded, we had some shitty issues that we had to cut like a half hour of it. So.
I'm sure there's a half hour of crap in this conversation you can cut out.
No way, man. I don't cut. I don't do that to my audience. This is raw, man. This is how we do it.
So global population. So what haven't we talked about yet? So we talked about water.
Well, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about this beer because we're partway through it.
Yeah.
And what do you think? You like it?
Personally, I love the taste better than the lager, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's an IPA.
It's an IPA. It's an imperial IPA. So let's give Joseph James a little bit of their shout out. So this is another local brewery here in Las Vegas, and here's what it says. So you're blankly staring at this beer and thinking, "Hey, how hoppy can it really be?" Just take a sip and you'll find out. Huge aromas of pine, grapefruit, and orange combine to form a big, juicy resin bomb for your senses. Let the waves of flavor surf across your mouth. See, talks about surfing. I'm a San Diegan. This is already speaking to me. Breathe deep, drink it in, and enjoy the ride. Is it getting dank in here, or is it just us? It's just you guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's good.
No, that's a good marketer, whoever wrote that.
Yeah, they put together a good little sentence there. And again, it is 8.2% and 85 IBUs, International Bitterness Units, which is the metric for bitterness these days.
You know, I think Joseph James does a good job. Like, whatever I get from them at a bar, like, it's always good, whether I'm going for like a citrus pale ale or IPA, doesn't matter.
Actually, Blaine brought the Joseph James Citra Rye, which is also a really good one. Yeah. So Joseph James, you're 2 for 2 on this podcast. So good for you guys.
Beauty.
We haven't had to throw you under the bus yet. There was, I think, a couple of beers that people brought that we had to not give a thumbs down to, but it was like,
what are we doing here? Yeah.
Well, one of them was Marie brought it over, and it tasted fine, but then we looked at the label and it was like 4% alcohol. We're like, we're fucking wasting our time here. What are we even doing?
Might as well be drinking water.
Yeah, might as well. So yeah, man. Okay. So it's a good beer. It's a little heavier because it's an imperial. But you know what? It still has a nice, like, refreshing hop flavor at the end of it, so it doesn't feel super heavy, which is nice.
Hot box, man. Like, I've gotten it several times before at a bar. Never bought it myself, like, from a store, but it's just as good here as it is in the bars on draft.
Actually, you know what? You're right, because I think this is what I get when I go to PT's.
Yeah.
Whenever we do a happy hour at that PT's Gold down on the east side.
Give me a hot box.
Hot box. Actually, you know what? That has changed, though, because PT's now does their own brewing.
I just realized that recently. Is that is it just me realizing it, or is that...
It's relatively new.
Okay.
But you're a little behind, because I think it was like a year ago. Like, it's relatively new. You should have probably noticed by it, but I don't know how often you're going to PT's.
I get confused by all the PTs, like the PT's Gold versus the PT's regular versus... They have other kinds of PTs as well.
They do. I try to avoid just the PTs. I go to PT's Gold.
It's something I never...
It sounds so elitist.
No, it doesn't sound elitist. I didn't even know what PT's Gold was until maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was talking...
The better ones.
Yeah, it's like, it's the nicer ones.
Full nicer inside. Yeah, it's more enjoyable.
Yeah,
for me.
Maybe I'm just getting old, but I'm the same way. Like, when I go into PT's Gold, I'm like, all right, this is good stuff. Sometimes you want the dingy dive bar where you're playing pool. And
that's it. It's because
catching up with friends.
The PT's down Sunset from us. If you go towards the airport, not the airport PT's, the PT's that's like before Pecos.
Yep,
that's like a fucking dive.
It is.
It's a dive. But you're right though. Like, maybe when I was 22, maybe when I was 30, but I'm a 33-year-old man now. I'm old.
Yeah.
Okay?
I still hit that one just because it's a go-to for all the factory associates. So
It's easy.
Yeah,
It's easy.
If I want to hang out with people outside of work, and I want to see them, then I better go there or Barley's.
Yeah, Barley's is always it's always like a shit show.
Barley's is kind of a shit show.
It's not a shit. Sorry, I meant more like a crapshoot. Because like one of the things that I've realized about Barley's is you never know what's actually going to be on draft, because like they run out of their beer all the time. Like I think it was a year between the last time and the most recent time I had an IPA there. So I got to always order like a Hefeweizen or something, because they never have it.
Yeah, and it's hard to get service there sometimes too. But
yeah, well,
when you do get service, it will turn into a shit show.
It can't, because they have those like what's the size of that big glass? Like 30 ounces or something like that.
Yep,
it's like fucking 3 beers almost.
So that place good. And the other factory you go to is what is it, Lucky Joe's or something?
Oh fucking! You and Ty love Lucky Joe's.
Yeah, I mean it's just right next to the factory. You can walk to it if you want.
Oh yeah, you probably should too. You shouldn't be driving when you leave that place. Even if you don't drink that much, you're gonna smell like it when you leave Lucky Joe's.
Yeah, it's got a good cast of characters in it and all that.
It's a cool little place. It's a cool little. Oren always used to want to go to what's it called? Casa Valley Verde.
I don't know if I've been there.
It's basically like the opposite direction of Lucky Joe's. It's just down Sunset.
Okay.
And it's very like Lucky Joe's.
What have I hit down there a few times? Like some little bar called E String or something?
Yeah. You been there? I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's good. It's just a typical bar with your different casino games on the bar.
Mm.
But you're not missing anything huge.
No. Yeah. No, it's interesting. That whole like strip right there, I feel like I overlook it a lot. Like there's also the place that's called like the Backyard. Have you seen that?
I haven't been in the Backyard, man. That's a great name, though.
I think it's an event space. I don't think it's actually a bar. I think it's just like an event space. But it doesn't really have like very good signage, so I have no idea what's actually happening there.
You ever thought about opening up a bar, man?
Oh shit, dude. That is one of my many dreams.
Nice.
Yeah, like I had this idea once, and I was actually like really trying to work on the business plan. It just never happened. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to open up a bar / like art studio.
Nice.
Where like basically, just open normal hours, whatever. Open business hours though too. Like it opens up at 8 a.m. and then it's till like 2 a.m. or whatever. And what you could do is like, if you're a local artist, like you can come in and we'll just have fucking, pencils and paper and paint and fucking all kinds of shit that you could sit there and we would provide some of the material, like not all the material, but like if you want to draw, if you want to paint, if you want to fucking sing, if you want to work on your comedy routine, if you want to, like whatever you want to do, we have like a stage, we've got a bunch of shit, and then we've got a bar, and like you can come in and work on your stuff. And then on Saturday, every Saturday night, it would be like a showcase of like all the stuff that people had been working on here.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was kind of cool because like, so here's the other thing. Like when I was young, my dream was to work on Saturday Night Live. Like I always wanted to write, not perform. I wanted to write. I just wanted to be a writer on the show.
Yeah.
And
that's where the real power is.
Yeah. Well, I realized I just wasn't that funny. So like, I was like, it's probably not going to happen. But like, what I think I enjoy is just like the camaraderie of the art community. Like it's just, there's a lot of love and support there for like just fucking try stuff. Like I consider this like art, like this podcast. Yeah. It's just fucking trying something. It's just fun, and like, it just gives people the opportunity. This bar would give people the opportunity to just like, work on your fucking stuff. You don't have to even rent space, but please buy a few beers while you're
absolutely. Come in and get some beers and
like a 2 drink minimum. Like, you don't have to rent your shit, but have a couple of beers.
You could also take this into a bar theme as well. Like have like your podcast, have like an apocalyptic bar or something.
Oh jeez. Oh, an apocalyptic bar. That'd be fucking incredible. I love that idea.
But either one, I mean, I think you should go for it, man. You only live once.
I don't know. I'm going to see how this thing pans out because I'm really enjoying this so far because it really is just like a cool, like like, when you're working on a project and like part of you wants to do it, part of you doesn't want to do it. You're like, this is work. This is tough.
Yep.
I'm not feeling it today. I never get that sense with this.
That's awesome, man.
Because it's just fun. Like, it's just like the hard part was building the shit.
Yeah.
The hard part's done. This booth is now done. You know.
And I get that feel from it too, man. Just to give you feedback, like I didn't feel like here I was coming into like a work interview or something. Like I wasn't nervous or anything. Like, yeah, and it wasn't feeling like, oh, I gotta go do this on a Saturday. It was like, oh, I gotta go hang out with Stu, drink some beers, and just talk the shit.
It sounds awful.
So
sounds awful. You gotta hang out with me for an hour.
No, man. So it's perfect. So I think you're onto something here.
It's fun. And look, I never expect this to necessarily be anything big. But again, I just go back to like, as long as I'm enjoying it, which I am, like, it's just fucking something fun to do. That's at
Absolutely.
least. So here's another way. Maybe I'm just justifying my drinking because now it's like I'm actually working. Like, Amanda, sorry, babe, I gotta go. I gotta go to work. I gotta get some shit done. I'm working Friday night.
Absolutely.
And then she's like, "You're just drinking beer in that fucking wooden box you built out there." No, I'm working on the podcast. All right, I'm working on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is work. So no, it's but it is. It's fun. Okay, so winding down.
Yep.
And we'll probably drink a few more of these beers after we turn these mics off. But all right. So what do you think? From the overpopulation standpoint, what do you think is the biggest concern, and what do you think the best solution would be?
Ooh. So, like, biggest concern, like, to me, that's all relative, right? So, like, we talked about the near-term biggest concern with fresh water. I think that's a big one. Long-term, I think it's about, like, habitat destruction and do we have enough resources to support everyone as we grow bigger and bigger. Midterm, like I would say it's more, can we get through all the potential of pandemics, epidemics, stuff spreading around.
Okay.
But
that could be a serious one.
Yeah.
'Cause weren't they talking about like they expect the next plague to happen at some point in the near term?
Yeah, and I think we got pretty lucky with the Ebola. Like, they did a pretty good job containing it, but like something like that gets out of control, then it's just gonna spread like wildfire. That will take care of the global overpopulation, but
it's like the most natural solution.
Yeah.
It's like, not man-made, because you could always have like some fucking insane president who says, well, we're just going to kill half our population.
Yeah.
It's like you could have a maniac who decides that, but obviously no one wants that. But a disease would just be like nature's way of saying, guys, it's getting a little out of control. Relax a little bit. I'm going to wipe a few of you out.
Yeah.
But Ebola, doesn't it kill like 75% of the people that it infects?
At least.
It's like at least 75%. It's insane. Yeah.
But back to your original question, you were asking, so like, what's the big problem and what's the solution for it? Is that right? Mm-hmm. All right. So the big problem is that, we've been growing ridiculously over the last 200 years, right? Mm-hmm. We've grown more in the last 200 years than we grew in the last 200,000 probably before that, So I don't know what the total is for total humans that have lived on Earth. Like, you can find different stats. Like, I think maybe the biggest one I saw was like maybe like 100 billion people. And so then we would only be 7.5% of the current, but still that's 7.5% of the current human population living now in the last 20, 30 years rather than the last 200,000.
That is a crazy amount.
So like, what is the solution? I think the solution, we sort of alluded and touched on it earlier, right? It's like, how do you find technology to bridge these issues? How do you find technology to solve these problems?
Yeah.
Because eventually it will level off, and it will level off for a little while, but then it'll start spiking again. And the only thing that's going to take it down is something that we haven't touched on, like some kind of huge global warfare, because it's more likely for conflict the more and more people you get on the earth.
Truth.
Or something like the pandemic, epidemic that we talked about, that would correct it. But in terms of us finding a proactive solution, something that's leading into it, I would think it's only technology that's going to do it. I said Mars and Venus and, Ceres or whatever's in the asteroid belt and all those things are like options, but
Europa.
Europa?
Yeah.
Europa,
Io.
which is like, Europa is, what is that, a
Io?
moon off of Jupiter?
Yeah.
And then Io's a moon off of Jupiter as well. Ganymede too.
Yeah.
But
there's a few out there.
So like there's some options, but like I don't see human population terraforming those to make it self-sustainable anytime soon.
Well, the gravity on Europa is fucking insane.
What is it?
It would crush us.
Really?
Yeah, it would crush. From what I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, it would crush us because the mass. I want to say the mass of Europa is close to the mass of Earth, but the density, or I should say the size. The size is about the same, but the density of Europa is like out of the world, like out of control.
Really?
It would just like crush us. And then I think there's also like just insane winds that like it's like 600 mile per hour winds like regularly.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's just like terraforming a lot of these places would be really, really challenging. Mars is the best option, I think, from everything that I've read.
Yep.
And so, anyway, what you were just saying too, just made me remember. I wanted to recommend another podcast for you and for the listeners.
Yeah.
End of the World by Josh something. I forget his name. I think it's Josh Clark.
Okay.
End of the World. It's a 10 episode podcast, so it's just one, like 10 and done. Like it's not going to continue. But it just talks about all the ways the world could end. And it's really interesting. Yeah.
What are some of those 10 ways? Like
It's everything you've talked about already. Like famine, plague, war, asteroid, global warming, and then the sun burning out, which is like millions of years away.
A billion years away. Yeah.
So but it goes into depth on how that could work and how we could avoid it. And so it's really fascinating. The dude's really smart. So shout out to Josh Clark. I hope I got your name right. I don't know if I did. Pretty sure I did.
No, but I totally agree with that. I think all those things that you touched on could be caused by human overpopulation, other than maybe the asteroid. Like the asteroid,
we're fucked. Yeah, like that's just. But you got again guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson working on that kind of shit because all you got to do is deflect an asteroid. If you know its course. All you got to do is just move it. You don't have to blow it up.
Nudge it off the...
Just nudge it. Just a little
away.
nudge. And also the other thing, too, that I was going to mention, because I also think this is really crazy, is there are some asteroids and comets that have water on them.
Yeah.
But they actually have, there are a few that they've identified that have, 100 times the amount of water that Earth has in its entirety.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy, dude.
So if we could find a way to transport that water, that's a Band-Aid. But you could find a way to get that water. If you could find a way to get that water here, you could solve some water issues as well.
Absolutely.
The space water.
Or on another planet too,
Fucking space water, man.
Space water.
Could have some weird microbes in it. It's like aliens and shit.
Some kind of what do they call it? Organic molecules or something.
Some weird shit.
Yeah.
And you get an alien popping out of your chest. I don't know if I'm ready for space water. Yeah.
I bet it's just as good as our water, though, if we were to, deep dive into it. But I'm scared, too, because it's the unknown, right? It's the unknown, what all does it contain?
Yeah, and to be fair, Earth's water is space water, too. Because Earth didn't come with water. It was bombarded with some asteroids that had water. And
that's the prevailing theory. Is all these asteroids and comets nailed into Earth and brought a bunch of water.
And we got water. And here we are. All right, dude. Well... I think we've covered your fear pretty well.
Awesome,
and
man.
Not that we're going to solve the world's problem tomorrow, but overpopulation definitely is a fucking challenge that I think we should all be a little worried about. That's why Amanda and I are stopping at 1. You're welcome, everybody. We're doing our part.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, folks. Hey, we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Adieu. At night, but in general, there's no big thing that keeps me up at night. But I will say,
podcast over. See you guys.
That was an easy one. Now it's just time to drink beer.
That's right.
No.